When you think about farming history, there are some machines that didn't just change the game, they completely rewrote the rules. Today we'll look at 5 incredible harvesters that transformed American agriculture. These aren't just any old pieces of farm equipment. They're the pioneers that laid the foundation for modern farming as we know it. Let's start with number 5, the McCormick Deering No. 7 corn picker from 1931. Now imagine being a farmer in the early 1930s. Every single ear of corn had to be picked by hand. Every single one. It was backbreaking work that could take weeks or even months. But then, McCormick Deering introduced something that would change everything. The No. 7 corn picker was a revolution on wheels. This machine could do the work of dozens of farmhands, gathering corn with an efficiency that seemed almost magical at the time. But here's what made it truly special. It was one of the first mechanical corn pickers that actually worked reliably in real-world conditions. What's really fascinating is how the No. 7 picked the corn. Unlike modern harvesters that strip everything down, this machine was designed to work more like human hands, but at an incredible speed. It would reach out with metal fingers, snap the ears of corn from the stalks, and pull them into the machine, all while moving steadily through the field. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about the McCormick Deering No. 7 wasn't just its mechanical innovation, it was how it transformed rural communities. For the first time, farmers could harvest their entire crop before winter set in, dramatically reducing crop losses and increasing food security across America. Before the No. 7 came along, a skilled farm worker could harvest maybe 100 bushels of corn on a good day. This machine, it could handle that amount in about an hour. Think about that for a second. What used to take from sunrise to sunset could now be done during your morning coffee break. The No. 7 wasn't just about speed though, it was about survival. During the Great Depression, when every penny counted, this machine helped farmers stay afloat by drastically cutting labor costs. Some folks thought mechanical pickers would never catch on. They worried about grain damage and waste, but the No. 7 proved them wrong. Its gentle handling system was so effective that it actually reduced crop damage compared to manual picking, especially when workers were rushing to beat bad weather. Another fascinating detail about the No. 7 was its timing mechanism. The picking fingers had to move at exactly the right speed to match the forward motion of the tractor. Too fast or too slow, and you'd miss ears or damage the corn. McCormick Deering engineers spent years perfecting the synchronization, and when they finally got it right, it was like watching a mechanical ballet in the cornfields. Number 4 on our list is a machine that completely changed how we think about harvesting. The International Harvester Model 123 SP Combine from 1942. Now SP stands for self-propelled, and that's where this story gets interesting. Before this beauty came along, combines had to be pulled by tractors. Imagine trying to manage 2 machines at once while harvesting your crops. The Model 123 SP was like nothing farmers had ever seen. Picture this, it's 1942. World War II is raging, and suddenly this incredible machine appears that can do the work of 3 separate operations: reaping, threshing, and winnowing, all by itself. It was like going from a bicycle to a motorcycle. The game had completely changed. You know what made this harvester truly revolutionary? Its independence. Being self-propelled meant it could navigate fields with unprecedented precision. No more awkward turns with a towed combine. No more struggling to maintain the perfect distance between tractor and harvester. This machine moved with grace despite its impressive size. Oh, and real quick, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. It really helps out my channel. But let's get back to the Model 123 SP, because there's something even more remarkable about its timing. This machine emerged during one of America's most challenging periods, World War II. With many farmers serving overseas and labor shortages hitting hard at home, this self-propelled combine became more than just an innovation. It became a necessity for feeding a nation at war. The engineering behind it was fascinating too. International Harvester designed a unique system where the operator sat high above the cutting platform, giving them a clear view of everything happening below. This might seem obvious today, but in 1942, this kind of visibility was revolutionary. Farmers could spot problems immediately and adjust their cutting height on the fly. And here's something most people don't know. The Model 123 SP was also one of the first combines to feature a grain tank instead of a bagging platform. Earlier machines required workers to bag grain while harvesting. Imagine trying to fill and tie bags while bouncing around in a field. This new tank system meant fewer workers were needed and harvesting could continue non-stop for longer periods. The real genius of the Model 123 SP lay in its versatility. It wasn't just designed for one type of crop. This machine could handle wheat, oats, barley, and even soybeans with minimal adjustments. In an era when most equipment was highly specialized, this kind of flexibility was worth its weight in gold. But perhaps the most incredible feature was its threshing system. The engineers at International Harvester developed a cylinder and concave setup that was gentler on the grain than anything that came before it. Farmers were amazed to find they could harvest more efficiently while actually reducing grain damage. This wasn't just about speed anymore, it was about quality too. The Model 123 SP also introduced something that would later become standard on all modern combines: hydraulic controls. Instead of wrestling with mechanical levers and cables, operators could adjust the header height and reel speed with the touch of a finger. For farmers used to manual controls, this felt like science fiction had suddenly become reality. And let's talk about that engine placement. It was pure genius. By positioning the power plant at the rear of the machine, International Harvester created perfect weight distribution. This meant better traction in wet conditions and less soil compaction, problems that had plagued earlier combine designs for years. Coming in at number 3, we have the Allis Chalmers all-crop harvester, specifically the Model 60 from 1947. Now, this machine earned the nickname the farmer's friend for a very good reason. It was the first harvester designed specifically for the small to medium-sized farm operations that made up the backbone of American agriculture. What made the all-crop truly special wasn't just its compact size, though that was revolutionary enough. It was the machine's ability to handle what farmers called specialty crops. We're talking about clover, grass seeds, and even vegetables. Before the all-crop came along, harvesting these crops was mostly done by hand or with makeshift equipment that often damaged more than it harvested. The engineering team at Allis Chalmers did something unprecedented with this machine. They developed what they called the wide flow feeding system. Picture this. Instead of forcing the crop through a narrow channel like other harvesters did, the all-crop spread the material out in a thin, even layer. This might sound simple, but it was actually a game changer for delicate crops like peas and beans. The real magic happened inside the machine. The all-crop used a unique rubber cushioned bar cylinder, something unheard of at the time. While other harvesters were basically beating the crops, this gentler approach meant you could harvest delicate seeds without cracking them. Farmers could finally harvest their alfalfa and brome grass seeds without losing half the crop in the process. But here's where it gets really interesting. The all-crop had over 100 different cylinder speed combinations. That's right, farmers could fine-tune their harvesting operation with incredible precision. Want to harvest Timothy hay in the morning and switch to soybeans after lunch? No problem. Just a few adjustments and you were ready to go. In an era when most farm equipment was single-purpose, this kind of flexibility was revolutionary. The machine also introduced something called the airlift cleaning system. Using precisely calculated air currents, it could separate grain from chaff more effectively than any previous design. But what really set it apart was how it handled damp conditions. When other machines would clog up in slightly wet crops, the all-crop just kept running. Allis Chalmers didn't stop there. They added what they called the quick clean feature, panels that could be opened in seconds to clear any blockages or check the machine's operation. Before this, cleaning out a harvester could take hours. Now it could be done in minutes. For farmers racing against weather conditions, this was an absolute game changer. The all-crop also pioneered the use of power takeoff, PTO drive, which meant it could be operated by almost any tractor. This standardization was crucial for small farmers who couldn't afford specialized equipment. The machine's modest price tag, about half that of larger combines, put mechanical harvesting within reach of thousands of farmers for the first time. What really made the all-crop stand out was its role in the post-war farming boom. As soldiers returned home and started farming, many chose this machine as their first harvester. Its versatility meant they could diversify their crops and income streams, helping establish many family farms that still operate today. Let's talk about number 2 on our list, the legendary John Deere Model 55 Combine from 1947. This isn't just any harvester. This is the machine that brought modern comfort and efficiency together in a way that had never been seen before. The Model 55 wasn't just a harvester, it was a glimpse into the future of farming. What made this machine truly special was its operator platform. John Deere engineers did something unique. They actually talked to farmers about what they needed. The result? The first truly comfortable operator station in harvesting history. We're talking about a padded seat with back support, all controls within easy reach, and this was huge, protection from dust and debris. The Model 55 introduced what John Deere called the variable speed drive. This wasn't just some basic transmission. It was an infinitely variable system that let operators adjust their ground speed without changing engine RPM. Think about that for a second. Before this, farmers had to constantly shift gears or adjust their throttle to match crop conditions. Now they could maintain perfect harvesting speed with just a touch of the control lever. But the real engineering marvel was hidden inside. The Model 55 featured something called the helical bar cylinder. Instead of straight bars that would suddenly impact the crop, these spiral arranged bars created a smooth, continuous threshing action. The result? Higher capacity, less grain damage, and this is crucial, significantly less power required to operate the machine. The separation system was equally innovative. John Deere developed what they called the Walker Hill design, a series of stepped grain walkers that use gravity to enhance separation. This meant that even in heavy or damp conditions, the Model 55 could maintain its efficiency. Farmers reported recovering more grain from their fields than ever before. Let's talk about maintenance, because this is where the Model 55 really shined. Every major component could be accessed through large, easy-to-open panels. This machine even included built-in storage for common tools and spare parts. These might seem like small details, but when you're racing against weather during harvest season, every minute saved on maintenance is precious. Another groundbreaking feature was the float action header. Previous combines had rigid headers that would either dig into the ground or miss low-growing crops. The Model 55's header could automatically adjust to ground contours, maintaining perfect cutting height regardless of field conditions. This technology laid the groundwork for the advanced header systems we see today. The grain handling system was equally revolutionary. Instead of the typical auger system, the Model 55 used what John Deere called carry-through design. This meant grain moved in a straight line from front to back, reducing damage and improving capacity. The clean grain elevator was positioned to load trucks from either side, a simple but brilliant feature that saved countless hours during harvest. And now for our number one spot, the Massey Harris Model 21 self-propelled combine from 1938. This machine isn't just impressive, it literally saved millions of acres of wheat during World War II in what became known as the Harvest Brigade. But we'll get to that incredible story in just a moment. The Model 21 was so ahead of its time that when it first appeared, many people thought it was a publicity stunt. A self-propelled combine in 1938? It seemed impossible. But Massey Harris had done something extraordinary. They'd created the world's first commercially successful self-propelled combine, beating their competitors to the punch by nearly a decade. What made the Model 21 truly revolutionary was its integrated design. Instead of adapting a pull-type combine to be self-propelled, Massey Harris engineers started from scratch. They created a machine where the engine, drivetrain, and harvesting components worked together as a single unit. The result was a level of efficiency that wouldn't be matched for decades. The heart of the Model 21 was its unique centerline design. By positioning the header and threshing mechanism directly in front of the operator, visibility was unmatched. The operator sat high above the action, with a clear view of both the crop and the cutting bar. But here's where the Model 21's story becomes truly extraordinary. In 1944, with the war effort in full swing and massive grain harvest needed to feed Allied troops, Massey Harris proposed something unprecedented. They created the Harvest Brigade, a fleet of specially built Model 21s that would follow the wheat harvest from Texas to Canada. The numbers were staggering. Each Model 21 in the brigade harvested an average of 2,000 acres during that season, more than 3 times what a conventional combine could manage. These machines worked around the clock, moving from field to field, saving wheat that would have otherwise been lost. By the end of the season, the Harvest Brigade had saved enough grain to feed over 1 million Allied troops for an entire year. The Model 21's grain handling system was equally innovative. It featured what Massey Harris called the straight-through design. Crop material moved in a straight line from the cutter bar through the threshing mechanism and then out the back. This simple but brilliant design reduced power requirements and improved capacity by eliminating unnecessary turns and elevations in the crop flow. Perhaps most remarkably, many of these machines continued working well into the 1960s. Their simple but robust design and easy maintenance meant they could keep running long after newer, more complex machines had failed. Some farmers even claimed the Model 21 could out-harvest modern combines in certain conditions.